One more time, a little harder. What is the book you've gifted the most and why?
Gifted the most?
Yeah.
It would probably be I really like On the Road by Jack Kerouac. It's been since like high school that I've loved that book since the moment I've read the first like couple lines of it, and it's just has quotes to me where it's so inspirational, like the like Sal Paradise, who is just Jack Kerouac because he changed the names around. He is just going on this like journey as just a young boy, meeting all these people, having all these like just unique experiences, and it was something that at the time for me when I was reading in high school where I was like, I want that so much.
So even since then, you were kind of like craving that.
Yeah, I just wanted adventure. I just wanted to experience things, and like a lot of it had influence of drugs and sex and stuff. But even like that was he described in such a poetic way that I was just like, I want to have those like even those kind of like grimy experiences and transform them into something poetic like he did. And yeah.
So The Ugly Went Poetic, and you were kind of. It's interesting. Okay. So high school.
Yeah, I read it like in my junior or senior year, and it's from there it actually inspired my music too.
And that's the one. So is that your favorite? Or is that the one you've gifted the most that you've given to Is there a difference? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it actually has been probably the one I give the most, but more in like, I guess it's been more in like just the way I've said it, not the way like I've given to. I guess it conveniently is here. This is the one I've gifted the most, where I've given off other ones too.
What is that?
It's Remember Now Be Here, or Be Here Now, or however you say it. And this one is interesting because it's not necessarily, it is kind of a story where it's telling about this teacher who just basically had everything that he could ever want, and he had all this money, he had all these homes, he traveled everywhere, but he wasn't happy. And then he like just smokes weed for the first time, and he gets high for the first time, and he's just like, wow, he's just like, I feel an expansion happening. And then he like does shrooms, and he was like, wow, this is even better. And then he just basically got really into acid, and he would see like parts of himself, different like existences of himself, parallel universes that he never even thought like could actually exist. So he got kind of addicted to it. It's what I took from it, because he would like lock himself in like a cabin with his friends and just like do all this acid for 14 days. Like anytime he felt himself coming down, he'd just do another tab. It's pretty crazy. But what I find really cool of it is like there's parts that are just illustrations and words. And I bought my first one when I first moved out when I was 18. And I will just open up it randomly and start reading like one of these brown pages, and it just like brings so much truth to me. And I started giving it out to people, where I bought my first one when I was 18, I gave it out, and then I bought another one, I gave it out just last year, and then I bought this new one, which is like just so I barely even like touched it, to be honest.
And what would incite you to want to give it to someone else?
Because to me, I would describe it as my Bible.
Okay.
It just is something that like it holds so much truth to me, and it says it in such a vague way where there's even a page where it's just like there's the big ice cream cone in the sky and everyone wants a taste of it. And I mean, it like you kind of get what it's saying, even though it's kind of saying it in such a silly and ridiculous way. And even other things where it would just be like, you know, it's 3:15 right now, but it's still now. Like it's trying to constantly teach you to be in the now and to be here and present. And that's what's the most important thing from what this teacher learned. And so I think it's like it has some truth to hold for everyone, and in a way where the way it's explained, everyone has some way to interpret it. It's not necessarily how it's plainly written, it's honestly how you actually interpret it on your own. I think it's interesting.
I like that. I kind of like that, the interpretation, because I feel like everything sort of is like that anyways.
In a sense, like that's reality is. It's just a matter of your own interpretation of everything.
The way everyone takes it.
Yeah, we're all just perceiving things in the moment in a certain way. We all give things feeling as we want to. Like, people will look around here and all of a sudden, like, they could look at, like, the postcard over here, like, the tapestry on the wall, and they could immediately be attracted to it and give feeling or maybe memory to it that they had from a child. And that's all, like, life and experience truly is.
What is the best $20 you've spent in the past few months?
Best $20? Okay, it would have to be... That actually was $20.
Was it? Okay.
All those Buddhas, yeah. Actually, then the first thing came to my mind, besides, like, you pointed out the Buddhas, which is actually pretty good, but, so there's this music artist that I've been wanting to see for years. She inspired all of my, like, other music that I've created. She's the one that actually got me into writing my own music, in a way, when I was a teenager, and she's playing a show on the 6th of March, and I bought her ticket last night, and it was exactly $20.80. And
what's her name again?
Lucy Rose.
Lucy Rose.
I actually have one of her vinyls right there.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Nice.
Never touched it, never opened it.
Never will?
I never opened it because I don't own a record. I just don't have a record player. That was like one of the next purchases I was gonna get, but
okay, I was about to make fun of you. You're one of those.
No,
I just buy the.
I just like, it was actually gifted to me from my ex-boyfriend, but I never opened it to look at the vinyl or anything. Until I like actually open it to listen to. But I'm gonna go see one of her shows, and I'm really excited about it. So that's the best $20 I've spent in a while. Cause like, even though I don't really have the money to spend with that, because like I bought those Buddhas all with a gift card. I bought like that with my actual money I have,
yeah.
And it's like I probably shouldn't spend the money, but it's something that's so important to me because she's not probably gonna have another tour in America for years, and.
Yeah. Does she play music often or not so much?
She does, but she's a UK artist. So when I got into her, she was like only in UK. And for me to listen or even download her music, I had to do it illegally. But I couldn't buy it, and I would buy it, but iTunes would be like, like your currency doesn't match for this region or whatever. And so, yeah, I had to download her music, but she was such a big inspiration of mine. And I would slowly watch her get more popular in America. She did one American tour forever ago, but she played at the House of Blues, and I was under 21, so I couldn't go.
Oh.
And now she's playing in Santa Monica, and I don't think there is an age requirement, but I can go now, and I'm happy about it.
It doesn't matter. How has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for personal gain or realization?
Do I have to actually like bring up a personal failure for me as an example, or
it's however you want to answer that.
I've noticed that like a lot of my falls have actually prepared me for something bigger. Like I guess for the best example I can use is even right now, even though there hasn't been something truly like grand in any sort of way to happen to me, but I don't have that much money left. I'm basically broke. I don't really have a way to feed myself. So I'm just like pinching pennies in a way. But I just always know that there's downfalls like this that leave you for something greater. Because there's only so much storm you can go through before you know that the light has to come out, or like in a cliche way, like there's only so much you can go through before you know that like something good will happen. And I'm not someone to be super hopeless, but I was before. And I guess a good example I could give to everything is like getting the home I have now. I was living in a place that I wasn't necessarily too comfortable in. I wasn't living with someone that like was bad, but it was someplace I was genuinely happy. And then I found this place and got this place, and I haven't been happy. I've never been happier. I haven't been as inspired as I have before. And I guess it is a good example to give. I find that like it takes those low points to appreciate the highs.
If you could have a giant billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why?
probably obviously be in a heavily populated area, so that way people can see it. Like LA's close, so we'll say LA. I would probably do something I've wanted to do for a while, actually. It'd probably be saying "My body, not yours," and a way to bring about awareness and like actually body positivity for awareness for like rape culture and how common it is, and just overall positivity for body positivity, and to what it would have on it, I don't know. Just probably women in their underwear or something like that. I don't know. But something to provoke body positivity, but at the same time bringing about rape culture in like that simple line or slogan. Mm-hmm. And
my body, not yours.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, what is the most worthwhile investment you've ever made? It could be in regards to time, energy, or money.
Can I show you? Can I go grab it?
Yeah.
Yes!
Okay.
It's these bubbles. They're 97 cents, but they make me so happy.
The best investment ever. Okay.
The best investment I made so far, like as of recently, yes. They're just...
I dig it. There they are.
Yep. They make me so happy. I don't know why.
Well, you know what? For 97 cents, I think that's hard to beat.
I put a lot of energy into things that are really small.
It's not bad.
That's a good and bad thing, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the fact that you get pleasure out of the bubbles, I think it's right there.
They make me
I don't
so
think I have to
happy.
explain that.
They make me so happy.
What is? I mean, it's making me smile, so I think that's saying something. What is an unusual? This kind of ties in. What is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love?
I guess like talking to myself.
Okay.
It is an absurd habit because I do it all the time, and like I was telling you when you first arrived here, I like had to control it. Like I have to watch something to stop myself from like starting to rehearse people's conversations, conversations that I'd have with other people. But I enjoy talking to myself because it actually calms me down in a lot of ways, and it makes me feel like I can be vulnerable to myself and gives me in a way like self-love, I guess, because I'm able to be vulnerable with myself and speak truth to myself and actually admit to myself certain faults that I feel like I'm making without someone having to be there that I'm speaking it to judge me. So I feel like it connects me to myself a little bit more.
It kind of sounds like a journal.
Yeah, essentially. And it's a journal, just me speaking.
Yeah, just that's like an out loud journal that's just there.
I should probably just write it down. I don't know why I'm not.
No, because I think sometimes it's easier to express it in like speaking instead of actually writing it. For some people, I could imagine it. You know, some people they have a hard time like just spitting it out, but they could write it very beautifully and just get it across. You know, so I think everyone's different.
Yeah, it's true.
So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most changed your life?
In the last 5 years, I guess the best belief I could say that has influenced my life is the belief of oneness. Everything's connected, and like you and I are connected. Me and like whoever's watching this is connected, and that gives me a feeling of peace of mind and calm because that lets me go through the realizations that we all experience the same things as a unison. We all experience fear and anxiety and happiness and sadness in the same ways. And perhaps like we still have our own uniqueness and our own, how can I say it? We have our own uniqueness, yet we have our own like individuality even through all that, yet we still connect on these same levels as human beings, and that kind of, I don't know, it makes me feel so calm and peaceful thinking about it.
That we're all inherently going through the same experience?
Yeah. So then it gives me an idea, like, if I'm ever feeling anxiety or fear, then I'm like, hey, like, the person next door from me has those same things or was bred up with those same things. And another person that I don't even know across the world, they're feeling the same emotions that I'll always feel throughout my life. Even, I like, Jesus felt the same things, and that's he was only human. He was still flesh and blood. Yeah, he was a Messiah that everyone worships, but he still was human, and he still experienced all the same things. We're all one with that, and we're all one in the same energy, in the same life.
What advice would you give yourself or a college student about to enter the real world? And what advice should they ignore?
To start in the part that, like, I guess, I can't speak for a college student because I didn't go to college.
So let's just go with you then. So what advice would you give yourself?
To give myself, like, leaving school, I guess that school isn't, like, it is important and to certain aspects, but I felt like when I was in school that it really just kind of drove down, like, your throat that you had to go to college and you had to do this to get to this point and to get to this point. And that's something that I guess I would say that school shouldn't try to, I mean, they're just trying to go get you to the next point of education, and I get that, but I feel like it's unhealthy in a way for some students that just don't want to go to college. Not all of them not necessarily for money reasons. They just don't want to go. I didn't want to go to college. I'm like wanting to go to art school. Art school is so expensive, and I didn't want to do it because I went and I toured art schools, and it just kind of felt like a product they were selling me. And I guess,
like a nice package.
Yeah, and I guess that, like, the best advice that I can give myself is, like, you know, like, you're your best teacher. Especially if you're, like, very self-aware, if you're very, like, observant, and if you're adaptive, then you're your best teacher. You can always, like, bounce back from things. You can be very reflective onto situations that happen to you, and in its way, it's a skill, and it's a skill that I've learned to get better at. But I don't think, I guess, to sum it all up, like, school doesn't have everything that it can teach you, and school also has a lot to teach you at the same time. It's kind of like
a little bit of a paradox.
It's a little bit of a paradox.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's contradicting myself, but I know I that's the advice I'd give myself. Because I feel like it's also the same advice that if I was talking to my past self, she'd be like, yeah, I understand what you're saying right now.
Okay. I dig it. What are bad recommendations that you hear? It could be, like, for anyone that wants to paint or get into music or anything like that, what's, like, the worst advice you hear people try to, like... Let me just read it again. What are bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise?
Recommendations, I hear people all the time, like, and it might just be for me as a woman, but I mean, I hear people try to offer me trying to record with me and stuff, and trying to, I guess, like, sell me as, like, a product for them, because if I record with them, then I'm paying them for the recording time. And I guess I can go with, like, I've heard people who've heard me sing and play guitar, like, they tell me to join, like, a music competition, which also is me becoming a product, because I'm trying to perform for a television show that is getting ratings, that someone who's producing it is being, like, they're being made to be paid. I'm actually saying this. They're being paid. They're being paid for me to perform as an audition or for them for completely free. And it's something that, and my dreams can be crushed in a second. I don't want to do it for a music competition. And, like, for artwork, and I guess the worst advice I've been ever told is, like, I've been told, like, certain things about how to start my store. And I don't like being told certain advice about starting my store. Not always, but there are times that people tell me, like, why don't you just do it? And I think not everyone understands the complications it takes to just go step by step into a process of trying to get it done. And it's stressful and hard, especially if you have like real world problems to deal with, which I feel like people aren't able to advise you with because they also have their own real world problems. And they're not necessarily an artist, so they don't know how to also manage your art with real world problems and everything. And it's kind of, it's chaos a lot of the time. Like for me to do my art store and then do this, it's absolutely chaos. So I don't like people to advise me or to recommend me a certain way of doing things when I'm actually trying to do the best that I'm doing right now and I feel it's working. So
I like that. In the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? This could be distractions, it could be invitations, or whatever.
Yeah, definitely opportunities. Because, like I was saying, with like people offering me like recording to record with them, sometimes it's been free, not always, but and times it's been free. Like it's not. And I've taken those opportunities. It hasn't turned out well, and so in those times I've learned to say no to certain opportunities for my art and for my music. But at the same time, what I've grown in is being able to learn certain skills to make myself better at recording and make myself better at my business. And in turn, I think it's better, though I need to also learn to trust people.
Is that a common thing where you're distrustful of someone?
Now, because I guess with me saying no, it's made me a bit more distrustful. Because I think I just had a lot of bad business experience in the past with people who want to take on my artwork to sell along with like their company or stuff, and they'll pay me a rate for it. Or if like with my music, where they want me to record with them, and so that they can start their own record company or whatever, and it just doesn't turn out well. Like the product is awful when you hear it, it's really bad. So it's made me a bit distrustful, but at the same time, it's made me better at being able to say yes and the opportunities I know would be good, and trust myself in creating, like producing my own music and starting my own business instead of trusting someone else to do so.
So you're becoming more selective, pretty much.
I think that's a good thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. This is the last question I got for you. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do?
When I feel overwhelmed or unfocused, the best thing that I do is I'll just like take a second to kind of just sit back and breathe and kind of like think. Like I won't really think through my goals necessarily. I will after I meditate, but I'll just take like 10 minutes to just meditate. And kind of my favorite thing right now to do that's kind of meditative is I'll do hula hooping, the hula hooping dancing. I'll turn on some music on my TV or on a speaker, and I'll just step outside for a second, and I'll just start hula hooping and just like dancing for a second, which is just so fun and free, and I don't have to worry about necessarily my business or my money status or my relationship or my emotions. I just get to worry about my dancing.
You're present.
Yeah, and it just makes me more in the moment. It's perfect.
Cheers, thank you for your time.
Thank you.